Hey, is the music playing?
I ain't got no money.
Hey, wait, do we have like a music playing or something?
This is Fight Fans Radio.
So wait, are we on air?
Now we are. There's our music.
Too bad nobody likes Daniel Bryan, huh?
Oh, I hate him. Turn off the goddamn music! Hit the goddamn music! Turn it up! Hey everybody, my name is Matthew Roth, a.k.a. Matt Roth 512. This is the Untethered Podcast, Untethered MMA. As I said, my name is Matthew Roth. We got Derek Sabatiki, and it's Mike Fagan. This is actually Mike Fagan. So let's start the show.
I was hoping the music would be playing when he stopped talking. That's all.
When you said AKA, I thought you were going to go into some, what's his face? Fucking rant. That bald-headed buffoon from Brooklyn.
Boy, you got to narrow it down a little bit more than that. Jesus Christ.
Oh, David Bixenspan. You're talking about David Bixenspan.
No, I'm not talking about Bixenspan.
You're talking about Bloodstained Lane. Bloodstained Lane.
Respect the shooter.
That is the second time that you have been compared to Bloodstained Lane on this show, Matt Roth, by the second different person. What do you say to that?
I say at least he has more Twitter followers than you, Dork.
Yeah, Doric. Yeah, and he's made more money off of MMA, which speaks to the quality of talent scouts in this beloved sport of ours. I gotta say.
It actually does, because he has talent.
Yeah, no, rallying the homophobes, it takes a lot of skill.
Eric, if we can get the YouTube link, that would be great.
That's a market.
So there's a lot of stuff going on this week. We got UFC on Fox 10 that happened last week. We have UFC 169 coming up this week.
Oh, is it fight week?
But what I wanted to talk about first, guys, apparently Antonio Silva has been milking the titties.
This is, his last excuse, and we've talked about this on the show before, when he popped when he was in Strikeforce and he was the heavyweight champ. I believe it was after the Kyle fight, if I remember correctly, when he got shit kicked in the first round and then came back and won. And they said that if he used Nandrolone, he would die. So we got to give it to Antonio Silva. I think it's between Arona and Ortiz for the best injury excuses ever, but I think that we got to give Antonio Silva props for the most creative steroids defenses in the history of mixed martial arts. Are there any other competitors?
Not that make these kind of excuses.
No.
I think.
Hold on. Well, before you go further, what did you say about the Mike Kyle fight, Derek? Is that when he popped for the Elite XC fight against Justin Eilers?
Oh, okay.
Well,
so
before the
Elite XC
Kyle
champion. Okay, that was before the Kyle fight. The Kyle fight, I did describe the Kyle fight accurately, though, in that he got shit kicked in the first round and then came back and won. It was really, really funny.
But yeah, his manager said that when he started working with Bigfoot, he was lactating. That's why he started needing the TRT. Is that accurate?
That can't be true. That can't be true.
Well, I don't think you just have mammary glands just sitting there ready to be activated by too much estrogen in your system. I'm not sure that's how it works. I mean, we all remember Bob from Fight Club. Bob had bitch tits.
Yeah, but that was after, like, this is what his manager's saying. Antonio Silva had such a high surplus of testosterone that he developed bitch tits, and then he started lactating.
No, that's not a surplus of testosterone. That's a deficit of testosterone.
No, I mean, but he had so much that he created a deficit. Kind of like what steroid abuse does, is that it gives you a huge surplus, but then eventually You just can't produce it anymore.
Well, the idea with Antonio Silva, and this is the one case that people who defend testosterone replacement therapy and TUEs, and we'll talk a little bit about the ringside physicians later, but Antonio Silva is one of the cases that they can jump to and say, this guy doesn't require more testosterone than he produces because he abused steroids earlier. He needs more testosterone because he had a fucking pituitary tumor that grew him to 6'5", 280, and now that they've removed it, his endocrine system is not sufficient to support that kind of mass. And when you don't supplement his testosterone, these kinds of weird things happen. It's a ballsy thing to make up, I'll tell you that much. If there's a fucking manager that's lying about this, he's got some guts.
I don't think he's lying. I just think it's crazy to say. Like, it's crazy to be like, no, like my client needs TRT because...
Well, we call everyone full of shit. We call Chael Sonnen like he'll die without it, and all that. We make fun of it.
That's because you can't die from having a lack of testosterone.
Like,
you're not going to die.
Well, can you lactate?
Possibly. I don't know, man. I've never lactated before.
But where again do we land on Bigfoot Silva? Because again, there are still people on the UFC. Now the UFC is getting attacked from both sides. You have Bigfoot side and the TUE supporters saying Bigfoot followed his doctor's recommendations. He has a legitimate medical need for it. He shouldn't even be punished, let alone to the extent that he is, losing the win bonus and the fight of the night bonus and being suspended for 9 months. And then the UFC is also being flanked on the other side by guys like Zach Arnold saying, even though you tested for it on an international show, even though you're punishing them, it's still your baby and you still are the facilitators of it. So, I mean, what do we do here? Like, do you want it just a clean ban on it? Do you still want it to be... We can talk about the ringside physicians now because I don't think there's an endocrinologist amongst any of them. But what are your feelings on TRT, this fucking week? Because I feel like I've been pretty consistent on it, but everyone else seems to kind of do this.
I said my piece when I was interviewed by Buddy Elbow with Steph and Ian.
Yeah, I didn't read that.
Yeah, that's fine, Subo. I don't read your stuff either, so it's fine.
You didn't write that. Shut up.
I said it. I said everything there. So it's the same thing. Here's the thing. Zach Arnold, his heart's in the right place. The only problem with what Zach Arnold is doing is that he's very, very naive to think that the UFC would be able to dictate what the ABC does.
Is it naivety, or is it just a willful, I get to rip the UFC for this, so I'm going to use it as my bludgeon? Because he's a very learned guy. Like, he knows the CSAC and the NSAC and the ABC don't give a fuck what Zuffa has to say about their rules and regulations.
I think it is naive, just being naive, because, like, or maybe he's... Because, maybe I want to think that it's naivety, because...
You're willfully ignorant that he's willfully ignorant.
I want him to be willfully ignorant because here's the thing. I think he's a smart guy, and I think he's a decent journalist, and he does.
Then how can he not know? Because
I think because at the same time I think it kind of sticks with his his story that he's creating.
Which is that Zuffa is somehow the proprietor and purveyor of testosterone replacement therapy, and they hold the key to getting rid of it, which is bullshit.
No. What his entire story is that if Zuffa didn't want it anymore, the ABC would get rid of it.
Which is not true.
It's not true at all. But on the flip side, I think that Zuffa is beginning to understand that this is a slippery slope, and that you really shouldn't be offering TUEs to people because how many people actually deserve them? Right now, I can, despite the fact that a recent blood test shows that I have absurd levels of testosterone in my system, I could probably go to an endocrinologist in Texas and get TRT.
Well, they would be up to the athletic commissions, and wouldn't it? Like we'd have to go through the list.
I'm not saying as an athlete. I'm saying just as a person.
Right.
I can go to any of these clinics in Austin, and there's a handful of them, and say like right now, dude. Currently at this moment, I'm super sleepy.
There's a low T center down the street from my college, and they obviously open so they could get like young people that drive by to come in and try to pump themselves up for the gym and shit. As a regular citizen, I don't really give a fuck what you do.
No, but what I'm saying is that even these people that are so-called experts they're at the same time they're still working for the athlete. Like your doctor works for you.
Yeah, but the athletic commission doesn't, and the athletic commission's the one issuing it. So what I'd like to see, I think the only way to split the baby here.
But if you have a doctor saying that Derek Sabaticki needs TRT, needs synthetic testosterone or shots of testosterone, that the athletic commissions, who they don't have endocrinologists on staff and at all, they'll take an endocrinologist's word for it.
Well, frankly, and again, those guys are kept within the same rubrics of 6-1, 4-1, depending on the state. They're tested more heavily than guys that don't get them. What I'm saying is, the only way I see of getting it even on both sides, where it's allowed to happen, but that the critics are kind of sated, is to have it publicly available, and not to have it leaked out that a guy got a TUE, or to have us kind of wondering when we're putting together our roster. I'd like it publicly known before the fight, so that bettors and everyone else can kind of make their own decisions.
But then you have the issue with HIPAA.
Yeah. Well, and that came up this week when
Lembo was
well, they don't have to give out the TUE. They could make the TUE conditional on public acknowledgement of it, and just say if you don't want to admit it, then you're not going to get it.
I don't know if you can extort an athlete into doing that.
You can't.
Well, the TUE is a voluntary thing by the athletic commissions. They could just say tomorrow, we're not giving TUEs anymore. So if they can do that, they can certainly add a condition to granting it.
No, they can make things conditional, such as we're going to be blood testing you or hair testing you or whatever it is.
What I'm saying is here.
Part of the condition legally can't be to give up your legal right to privacy.
Why not? They give you.
What do you mean? Why not?
Because they're giving you
a legal right to privacy.
Because they've made the offer of the TUE. Right now, they'll give you a TUE and they won't publicize it. They have the ability to just rescind that and legally not give you a TUE.
No, they don't legally have to give you a TUE.
That's what I mean. So they could give you a TUE and make it contingent upon some type of agreement to make it public.
No, but they can't do that. They cannot do that.
Well, like I said, certain states are more concerned about HIPAA than others. Colorado won't even tell you what you tested positive for. So obviously there's some disagreement in the interpretation of how far that goes vis-a-vis athletic competition and stipulating that your records are being made public for a reason.
Did either of you see the article about the New Jersey Commission firing back at the Association of Ringside Physicians statement?
Yeah.
Was that before or after they gave me the TUE?
Well, the Buddy Elbow story came up today. So the Association of Ringside Physicians came out and said that they don't want, or they came out against TRT TUEs. Lembo responded to it. He said, we're testing the hell out of these who voluntarily come forward asking TUEs for TRT, but akin to a don't ask, don't tell policy, we athletic commissions aren't testing enough of those who are not coming forward. The focus by the ARP should be improving drug testing parameters for those who are not forthcoming and open. And then it goes on, Dr. Sherry Walken, who's the ringside physician for the New Jersey Commission.
Had a surgery at Mount Sinai. She's actually like a real fucking doctor.
She had a couple of quotes, but basically a lot of her stuff was the actual procedures in New Jersey, and I think you've talked about this before, Matt. The procedures and protocol to get a TRT exemption in New Jersey is pretty extensive.
Yeah, no, it's damn near impossible, and with what's his face, with Frank Mir, they're basically, because he was granted it by Wisconsin and by Nevada, they're going to honor it, but they're also it's not like, oh, hey, you got this before, so we're just going to give it to you. Like, he's going through a ton of testing right now, and he will be going through more testing. Like, it's not like, oh, hey, you got your TUE from these two states, and we're just going to honor it. Like, he's going through a lot of testing.
There's two more things I want to bring up. The last quote from Walken at the end of her little thing here. She says, most notably, we must bear in mind that the blanket elimination of TUEs alone will not mean that PED usage and abuse will be reduced in these combat sports. And I think the other thing to point out, too, is one of the things about TRT gets talked about is how rampant it's being used and how many guys are on it. But officially, publicly, it's still, what, 10? Less than 10 that have ever used it in the UFC?
Dana said something around 50, which
50?
I just don't think is accurate.
That can't be accurate. That's not accurate. Like, from what we know, we have Dan Henderson,
Chael,
Vitor, Frank Mir,
Duffy when he's around.
Duffy, Forrest Griffin.
Retired.
He's retired, so that's 6
I mean, it's
right
guys
there.
that have used it in the past.
That's guys that have used it.
Well, Randy, I mean, we were not 100% sure what he was doing, but...
Shane Roller, Quentin Rampage Jackson. I already said
What
Henderson.
fight? What fight did Rampage use it for?
For Bader in Japan.
Yeah.
And he still got the shit. That was the worst I've ever seen Rampage look. I don't think that shit's a magic
So
anymore.
I'm at 8 right now. I can't think of anybody else.
I think there might be a couple of guys for. Marquardt.
Nate Marquardt. So there's 9.
But I mean, even then, we're struggling to get to 10.
But the point is, without public disclosure, like, we learned about these guys largely because of leaks.
And what's his face? Overeem. And Bigfoot Silva. So we're at 11.
But yeah, I think the point I'm trying to bring up though is that it's
not as widespread as
it's
people
not as
think.
widespread as
And they may realize it's a net negative loss when it comes to stretching out a guy like Henderson's career or Belfort's career, and say, you might get a couple other big fights out of these guys and maybe one more title run, but it's just not worth the scrutiny. But again, the scrutiny about this is fucking confined to such a narrow spectrum of actual MMA coverage. Like, the most outlets, especially Fox, and the ones that actually cover it on a large scale, don't really give a shit or consider it in some way like measures worse than any other sport when it comes to drug testing.
Is there anything else on that topic that we need to hit?
Nope.
All right. UFC and Fox 10 took place on Saturday. This card, I honestly couldn't really pay attention to half of this card when I was watching it.
Dude, it was so bad. It was not a good card.
I enjoyed the main event, and there's worth discussion there, obviously. I guess, first off, live, I'll start with you, Derek. How did you score the main event?
I gave it 48-47 to Benson. I had it 2-2 going into the final round. I thought the fifth was pretty clearly Henderson's. Need to rewatch it. Haven't yet. But rest of the room I was in, I was with the Cerrones for the fight, and they probably had 20 people there. And most people were pretty surprised that Thompson had won. Again, like you wrote about, Mike, I think due to just the visual idea of holding the back, despite the fact that Thompson really didn't do a lot with that position.
And what about you, Matt?
I didn't actually score it live, so I just know that my feeling at the end of the fight was that Josh Thompson won, just because of the back control and being able to get the takedowns. I didn't score it though. I was being snarky on Twitter.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying super close attention, but I scored it about 48-47 for Thompson live, and then on the rewatch. And even when I scored it live, I wasn't terribly outraged about the decision. But on the rewatch, rounds 1 and 3 were pretty clear for Thompson and Henderson, respectively. On the rewatch, round 2 was a lot clearer for Henderson than I remembered. And then 4 and 5 were so close. I gave 4 to Thompson, really based on his back take at the end of that round. And that fifth round, I really don't mind a 10-10 there. That's a round that I do not mind a 10-10. I could see any range of score from.
My big problem was just the that one absurd Ben Henderson scorecard, which I believe was like 49-46.
See, even that scorecard, it's not as crazy as I thought live. Because I thought it was insane. But I could see someone giving 2 through 5 to Henderson and making an argument for it. I don't think it's the correct scorecard, but I could see the argument.
Right. Well, let me ask you this. Would you guys have been more happy with a draw? Do you think that would have been somehow more pleasing to the eye? I
would have been totally okay with a draw.
Yeah, I would have been okay with a draw. Because, look, I mean, that's just one of those fights that nobody did enough to win. And I think my big issue is that Ben Henderson, it seems like he's not fighting to win anymore. He's fighting to win a decision. He's not fighting to finish.
I don't know. You see, I just think that's all bullshit. bullshit. Like, he was winging shots. He was hitting him as hard as he could to the body. I feel like Benson Henderson has been pretty much the same fighter for the last few years. And when anybody runs through their lower ranks and then they fight the top guys in the world 5 or 6 times in a row, it's almost inevitable that you get some decisions. Like, it's a really transcendental fighter that is able to finish the best in the world on a routine basis.
Well, that explains why Dallin Cerrone is able to finish everybody, because he's fighting the lower end of the division.
He looked great. I don't know how can you poo-poo the knockout of the year thus far in such a succinct manner? Like that.
The knockout of the first 3 weeks of the year.
Sure. Yeah, well, unless there's something awesome happens this week, it'll be a month. So he's got the title until someone takes it from him. Super clean head kick knockout. It was a no.
What about Krylov? Krylov's head kick was awesome.
I thought Krylov did get kind of screwed out of that bonus, but we all knew that he wasn't going to get it.
He was not going to get it.
No, we all knew that. It just wasn't going to happen. So sorry, Nikita. Better luck next time. You're 22. You got.
He was never going to get that bonus.
No. It wasn't going to happen.
McKinley really wants us to talk the Caceres Pettis.
Yes, I want to
main
too,
event.
because as soon as that fight was announced, I said Bruce Leroy going to take this, and I was right, and I'm smart, and it doesn't happen very often. So allow me to bathe in the beauty and the fucking largesse of my own intelligence for just a moment.
And there's your moment.
Were you surprised?
Not necessarily. I mean, I thought the fight played out up until.
Okay, let me ask you this:
submission.
Are you surprised? Were you surprised by how good Caceres looked?
No.
You see that's.
He didn't look any better or worse than I've seen him before.
Oh, I think that was the best he's ever looked. I think he's looked better in every fight he's had in the octagon. And anybody who wants to say that there's absolutely no talent coming out of the Ultimate Fighter the last few years, I think Bruce Leroy kind of disproves that. That there are UFC quality fighters that come out of there and can, in fact, improve their athleticism. They got them to where they were on the show with the right camp and a few years of experience.
See, here's the thing. He didn't actually get on the show because he was athletic. That is one of the personality. Like that's a person that completely overshot his coverage.
Well,
like,
he lived on his athleticism on the show. Like
but I mean, to get on the show, like what was he on the show to get on the show, Michael?
I think like 4-0, 5-0.
No, he was like 1 or 2-0. Like the guy shouldn't have been on the show, and he got on because of his personality. And
he was 5-2.
5-2. Okay, so like he wasn't that great on the show. And he got on because of his personality, and it turns out that he's actually really good. Same thing with Michael Johnson, as McKinley points out.
He's not really good.
No,
what do you want from him? He's probably top 10 right now.
I'm not saying really good. I'm saying that he's improved to the point where he's a serviceable fighter.
Mike is about to ask how could he be top 10, because he's 4-0-1 in his last 5, and he hasn't lost a fight since February 2012.
To Damasio Page, Motonobu Tezuka, Kwang Ko Kang, where he no contest, Roland Delorme, and then Sergio Pettis is his best win, who's 21 years old and 2 fights into his UFC career. He's beaten nobody.
I believe Sergio Pettis is actually 20, so way to undershoot your own argument by being inaccurate. See, it would have been better if you said he was 20, but you fucked up. See, I'm backing up your own point. I'm making it better for you than you can make it yourself. Point is, I think the
Caceres was put in at 15 on the current rankings, which I don't mind.
Okay,
but he hasn't beaten anyone ranked. He's beat 0 ranked fighters.
Well, I think that he probably will, and I think that his next fight, I'll probably pick him in that one too, because he really gets underestimated pretty often. I don't know what the betting lines were for that fight, but I really would have put some money on Caceres if I had it laying around.
Caceres?
Caceres. Don't fucking look like that, Matt. You called me Doric earlier.
Yeah, Doric.
We didn't really touch on the heavyweight fight, Gabriel Gonzaga, Stipe Miocic. I mean,
that wasn't a good fight.
I heard Gonzaga broke his hand midway through the fight, and that looked pretty obvious to me. At some point halfway through the second round, Gonzaga just mentally broke. And
well, his hand broke too. We had 2 broken hands in the main and co-main. I wanted to say that too. Can we just accept, like, if Henderson or fucking Thompson doesn't break his hand, he probably wins that fight? Is it okay to say that because it was so close with a broken hand for 4 rounds, or no? I mean, he's like a wounded duck out there. He's like a fucking bird with 1 wing, and he's still taking his back and, staying relatively safe. And
When did he break his hand in the first round or the second round?
He came. Yeah, the first round he came to his corner and was like, my hand's broken.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can. Really
Matt, you got up and fucking farted or whatever, but I was asking.
I
put your microphone down. Jesus, goddamn. The best part is
do I sound like I'm on old time radio?
The best part is on the podcast, you get this great moment where he grabs it and it goes. It's just fucking.
Hi. Hello.
All right, let's move on.
I don't think we're going an hour today, boys.
Yeah, we are.
We're going 2 hours, everybody.
Fuck that. UFC 169 this weekend. Double top. We got Frank Mir, Alistair Overeem, John Lineker, Ali Bagatinov, and Jamie Varner and Abel Trujillo, which is a pretty good pay-per-view card. We'll start up top. Barao and Faber. Is this going to go any different than the first fight, guys?
No, it's not.
I think Faber will look better than he did in the first fight. Even if he gets finished, even if it doesn't go the full 5 rounds, I think he'll win at least one just by looking good. I think he's going to come out like a house of fire and try to finish it quick, and then Barao will weather that, and it'll probably be a decision.
Why do you think Faber's going to look better now than 2 or 3 years ago?
I think he's better now than 2 or 3 years ago, and we were talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and you guys kind of disagreed with me, but he's always been known as a finisher, but I just think that he goes for it a little bit quicker now, and his submission game has improved. His grappling game, his scrambling game, those have all gotten better in the last couple of years. So I think that instead of him trying to kickbox with Barao like he tried to kickbox with Aldo, he's going to spend at least the first round or two trying to make it a messy, scrambly type of situation where he can try to grab a back or grab a neck and then work from there.
Can he actually get him down, you think?
If in a scramble, absolutely. I think he's one of the best scramblers in MMA.
Do you think he can actually even create a scrambler?
I think he can create it. You can always create a scramble off a failed takedown attempt. Like that's a great starting point for a takedown. When you get in on a single and you push him to the cage, and then you can go for things where you might end up in a disadvantageous position where he's at least off his base a little bit and he's being aggressive and he's coming off the cage trying to put you on your back. And in those situations, I'll pick Faber against pretty much anybody in the world. Those are the kinds of things I'm looking for, especially in the early parts of that fight.
Isn't that what Faber tried to do against Cruz in the second fight?
Oh, Cruz is yes, but Cruz I believe is faster and a better wrestler and lighter on his feet than Barao. Barao likes to stand and bang, and Cruz is really kind of a unique fighter in how little time he occupies any one space. So I think Faber will have better luck against Barao than he did against Cruz in the grappling department, not the striking department, and I think he'll have better luck than he did against Aldo in just about everything. So if it's a Cruz decision, I don't think it'll be 50-45, and I think that it's going to be a really exciting first 5 or 10 minutes because Uriah is going to be diving on everything in sight, trying to get him before they get too sweaty and he gets too tired.
In the co-main, Jose Aldo defends his featherweight title against Ricardo Lamas. I don't really know if we need to talk about the fight itself. Aldo is a -6 to -700 favorite. But the big news about him coming into this event is that if he beats Lamas, Dana White's talking about putting him and Anthony Pettis together for a super fight at lightweight. How do you guys feel about that?
I don't have any objections, but if that happens, I don't want to see him return to featherweight at some point.
Yeah, I mean, here's my big beef with all these super fights is that you got to say where you went. Like you can't just be like, oh hey, I'm gonna fight Pettis at 155. Let's say he loses, like you can't go back down to featherweight and challenge for the title again. And if he wins, like you got to defend that lightweight title. You know, that's my big problem with the super fights. Like when they were talking about Anderson Silva going up to fight John Jones at 205, are you really going to do it not for the title? Or are you really going to do it? Like,
I have a third thing to add to match right there. What if Aldo comes up and wins and then says, well, I'll defend both. I'll defend 45 and then I'll move up and defend 55. Well, and then both divisions are having a belt defended half as often.
Dana was talking about Aldo vacating the title to move up.
Okay, and if he does, then if he loses, then I think, like Matt was saying, he's a 155er at that point. I don't want to see him descend back to 145 and take it down.
Well, he's talked about for a few years now that he wants to move up, and a lot of people talk about it it's not an easy cut for him.
No,
I think for him a lot of it is not wanting to make that cut.
But for a lot of that, him saying, "Oh, I want to move up," like for a lot of that, he was still talking about defending the title at 145. He wasn't saying like, "Oh, hey, I'm going to move up completely."
And Pettis was saying the exact same shit when he was talking about going to 45 to fight Aldo. Just I'll do both. I'll be the first two division champion. I'll hold both of them.
And Derek kind of made I hate saying it because it's Derek, but
I know, but it's like razors in your mouth, but spit it out anyway.
He made a good point. Like, look, you already have enough trouble with defending titles often. Like, is Aldo going to be booked every 2 months, basically, to defend either the flyweight or the lightweight title?
Well, that'd be tough because he'd be jumping 30 pounds between flyweight and lightweight.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and the same thing goes when they were talking again about doing like GSP versus Anderson. Let's say GSP beat him at 185. Like he was talking about putting all this weight on to become a middleweight. Let's say he beat Anderson Silva. He was gonna. Is he then? The guy only fights twice a year, and you were gonna say, oh hey. You're going to fight 2 more times defending the middleweight title? That's my real beef with these super fights. Like, if you want to do it, but don't have a title on the line. And if the person who's lighter loses, they move back down. But saying, like, oh, hey, I'm going to be the first 2-division champion, that's stupid.
Like I said, it sounds like the idea is that they want Aldo to vacate, but at the same time, and just sort of to play devil's advocate here, right now at both divisions, at featherweight and at lightweight, there isn't exactly a standout challenger. If you look at featherweight, the top 5 guys are Mendez, Lamas, Edgar, Swanson, and Chan Sung Jung, and Aldo's taking care of all those guys, or he will if he beats Lamas on Saturday. At lightweight, you've got Benson, Gilbert, T.J. Grant, Thompson, and Nate Diaz, and none of those guys are.
Anthony Pettis has fought exactly one of those 5 fighters.
He's also fought exactly once.
Well, the problem is that Melendez is still in a contract dispute. Grant is out for who knows long. Thompson just lost. Nate Diaz isn't exactly in a spot to be challenging for a title. This is probably the guy with the best argument right now if Gilbert's sideline and TJ Grant is sidelined. But
that's fine, and it's okay if they want Aldo to come up to be a contender for Pettis. But if Pettis needs to wait he's going to be out until July or August probably anyway. So if that's enough time for Grant to get healthy, or that's enough time for a guy like Nurmagomedov to win a top 5 fight, or for Melendez to come back and win a top 5 fight, I think there's more than enough time to get Pettis another fight at 155 before we're desperate to have him move or having guys move up to fight him.
Now you actually brought up an interesting name. You brought up T.J. Grant. I don't know if you saw this week. He said that he's expected to make his return in mid to late October. Like, that's a really, really, really bad concussion if that's keeping him out over a year. Like that's closer to 18. That's closer to 18 months, right?
That's like that Sidney Crosby concussion.
Yeah, like that's not a good concussion to like come back and get punched in. No, but like that's an awful concussion because you're coming back and you're still going to get punched in the head.
Oh, so are we putting the spindles on? I got to dust mine off.
Dude, there doesn't need to be a spindle. It's just the fact that, look, your brain's already fucked. You've been out of... If your concussion is forcing
clinical
you...
term.
It is fucked. That is a clinical term.
Stage 3 fucked. And there is no stage 4 fucked. You're just fucked.
No, once you hit stage 3, you're completely fucked. But my big thing is that if you're on the sidelines due to a concussion for, let's say, 16 months... That's a really serious concussion, man.
Well, does that mean that it's fully healed at the end of 16 months?
You don't heal from a concussion.
Oh, it's just there forever? I mean, it is a bruise. You have a propensity to have more of them,
your brain does not heal. Your brain does not heal. And that is medically science. Like, that is medically
science.
True. Yes, medically true.
Matt Roth, medically science. Can you change your thing at the bottom of your screen to say
medically science?
Yes, A-L-L-Y, because I know you're going to misspell it. God damn it all the hell.
Well, the thing that I'm interested in, he's been out already 8-9 months with this concussion. How are they pinpointing his return to August? I mean, if he's just having symptoms and problems with symptoms, like,
Well, they just have guessed it. They've guessed it 9 times. They always have a goal that's like we think he's going to be back in August, and then if he has a bad month, they'll say, well, it's going to be September.
But
like, I don't put any stock
that's
into
the thing
date.
though. When Sidney Crosby had that issue, it was never like he's going to be back by this date. He's going to be back by this date. It was he's going to be back when he's medically cleared to come back.
Well,
that was the only timetable they gave for that.
No, he was not medically scienced.
Well, I mean, medically scienced. That is the greatest cryon in the history of this show. That is tremendous.
Hashtag
medically science. There we go. We have started a trend here today.
Well, Derek, did you have anything else to say about that? Because you got cut off by Matt's crap.
By fucking everybody. Yeah, whatever. It's fine. Do you want to explain what the phrase "cum dropper" means?
Nope.
Because you typed here in the no, I'm talking to Mike Fagan. You can see the look on his face. Because you see quote, and I quote.
No, it's good.
Jones versus Velasquez is such a cum
Wait, hold on.
dropper.
Stop. Velasquez?
Velasquez.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Kez. At least
Velasquez.
I didn't call him Cayenne, which is hilarious. Brad Morris fight.
And here's the thing about Doric. Can't pronounce anybody's name.
Velasquez.
How do you watch MMA for like 8 years? And
is it Nicaragua or is it Nicaragua? Like, it's a question of whether or not you put any emphasis into it.
It's not even close.
You have to roll your R's.
It's not even close, Sabo. It's not even close.
Ecuador. Yes, you have to roll your R's. Fuck you. Just because you can't roll your R's doesn't mean you can't speak Spanish. It's fine.
Yeah, but I can bang an Ecuadorian chick.
Well, how much did that cost?
Hashtag roasted.
Hashtag $50.
No,
Mike.
No, but for real, afterwards she wanted to know when we were getting married, and I was like, we're not. And she was like,
yeah, there's $50.
No, I didn't know. So in my younger years, I was a complete scumbag. Like I'm
good to know you've shed that skin.
I'm a good person now, but at one point I was a scumbag, and I
used to tell women I'd make them citizens if they'd sleep with me.
No. So in my college English class or my college creative writing class, I can't remember which one. This girl from Ecuador, like, she's not legally here, but she was able to attend college. I don't know how. And I was like, oh yeah, totally. I'll tutor you in English, and I'll check your paper. And we ended up in a hot tub and boning in a hot tub. And then like I didn't check her paper at all. And then she was like, hey, when are we getting married? I'm like, we're not. And that was the end of it.
And he's like, well, the worst part of that isn't that it didn't break her heart, but that she had to do her own homework. That's clearly you're such a douchebag.
Yeah, that's really what it was.
How dare you?
I was going to have this nerdy white kid do my homework for me. It's like, no, thank you for voting. I
fucked him for no reason whatsoever. God
Thanks for
damn
voting.
It. Okay, but all right. Anyway, so back to my original question: what is a cum dropper?
I have no idea. I've never heard that phrase.
I'm asking Mike Fagan.
I'm going to start blading on the show one time and just cut myself. Like,
did you just unplug your computer from the internet so you cut out? What the fuck, Mike? Your explanation.
I don't. There's no explanation needed, Derek.
What is a cum drop? One that drops cum?
What is a cum dropper? Yeah.
What is it?
It makes you drop the cum.
Like you're carrying it around and
like in your hand? Like,
oh no!
In your hand, you're like, oh shit, drop cum.
And of course,
oh no, I dropped the cum. Oh no, I dropped the cum.
Our socially awkward friend, New York ID 07, is that cum dropping out of the own dick or the one you're holding?
That is a good question.
Moving on, I assume.
Michael.
Frank Mir, Alistair Overeem.
Mike, I have a question.
Yeah.
Forget about the COC card because it's not good.
Shut up. No, we're talking about Mir Overeem.
I want to talk about
No. I have an important question.
Go ahead.
Did Mr. Michael Fagan ask you about the time that you held a penis in your hand?
No.
He wasn't watching that day,
No, but
unfortunately.
like,
Right.
would your dad have if he was on the show last week? Would he have been like,
would he have said,
"I
"I
be
can't
like, hey
believe
Mike, we got to
someone
talk about
about
the time you held a penis"?
Or would he say, "I can't believe you told anyone about that"?
What are you suggesting, Derek?
I don't know. I'm asking what your father's reaction would be.
And Mike can't change, even if he tried, even if he wanted to. Your penis.
So, Matt, is this pink slip on a pole match?
For who?
Mir Overeem.
Probably pink sock on a pole.
Why do you have to make distended colon jokes on my podcast? Why do you have to do that? You
Pink
should
sock
be.
on a pole match.
You should be ashamed. Okay, well, who's getting
Who's getting
vacuumed, buddy? Who's getting vacuumed?
I think everybody watching this fight is going to end up pink socked.
Is there gonna be some negative pressure around all of our assholes because of this
not
fight?
gonna be, it's just not going to be a good fight.
We're gonna get some.
We all end up pink socked.
I think this is going to be a great fight.
It's going to be an awful fight.
Why?
Because Frank Mir's boring.
Is the loser gonna get fired?
I hope. I hope they fire the winner too.
Well, it's weird. It's weird. Overeem's got 2 losses coming into this. Frank Mir's got 3 losses coming into this, but they're still the number 9 and 10 ranked heavyweights. And I think Dana White said that no one's getting released if they lose, but at the same, especially for Mir, this is 4 straight losses, and they both make a pretty decent amount of money to show.
I did this math for my MMA Al piece earlier today, and I had to bust out a currency tool because fucking Overeem's pay, first of all, it's ridiculous, and they gave him, I believe, $1 million signing bonus before the Brock fight on his way over from Strikeforce when he was a free agent.
Something like that.
His show money, $264,285.71. Now, okay, he's from Europe. There's an exchange rate. Totally makes sense. Put it into the currency exchange, 199,900 euros. And his win bonus is 121,428.57, which is 89,590 euros, which is not half of 199.90. It's a goofy ass contract. That's all I can say about it. But it's a lot of fucking money. I think he's more likely to get cut if he loses than if Mir loses. Because if Overeem loses, it's 3 straight to guys that are ranked lower and lower and lower down the totem pole. And you can't pay a guy that much money when he can't even reliably co-headline a pay-per-view overseas. What's the purpose of keeping it?
Well, yeah, and that's the big risk for him. At the same time, though, and I think the point I was trying to get at is, Mir and Overeem are still top-ranked heavyweights, and there's not exactly a lot to fill those slots.
No, and the winner of this will probably move up to 6 or 7, and they'll have a top 5 opponent coming out, whether it's the Ware Doom Brown loser or, who the hell else is up there? Cormier's gone. I think Miocic is probably, 5 or 6 now after that fight?
He's 7.
Okay. So, yeah, the winner of this versus Miocic would make sense, I believe. That's probably what I want to see, the winner of this versus Miocic, and then the winner of that will face a Ware Doom or a Dos Santos or whoever's not in the mix right there.
Oh, that's depressing.
Ware Doom!
Sorry.
I will never pronounce Fabricio Ware Doom's name any other way than the way it's spelled because I'm from America.
How do you say Wanderlei Silva's name?
It's Wanderlei Silva.
Do you actually say Wanderlei?
It's a W. What else do you do with the W?
Damn it.
You're so bad.
You're the most culturally
This isn't
insensitive
Rome, and
guy.
the U's ain't V's. So fuck off, Brazil.
Now, Matt,
do the age thing.
Miguel
That's enough.
Torres is coming back, huh?
well, hold on. Before we get to that, Matt, the thing that the reason I think this fight's going to be awesome is because both guys have a propensity to fade or give up during the fight, and it's really a race who mentally hits rock bottom first. And that's what's exciting to me.
Who's gonna bitch out first? Who's gonna collapse?
If Mir can withstand, a round and a half, he's got a really good shot at it.
Absolutely.
But if Overeem pressures him hard enough, Mir's a guy that'll wilt under enough pressure.
Do you think Overeem learned after the Brown fight the next time he knees someone in the gut and they collapse, he's just gonna step back and kick them as hard as he can instead of punching in the hand 12 times and gassing out?
Here's the thing about Frank Mir. His stand-up is awful. Like, his
pretty
footwork is
bad.
awful. Like,
Hey, he knocked out Crow Cop, buddy.
Yeah, in one of the worst fights ever.
He knocked him out. He
One of
knocked
the
out
worst.
Crow Cop for 13 minutes and then kneed him in the face and left him crumpled on the ground.
He knocked out Czech Congo too.
Yes, he did.
Well, yeah.
Well, no, he fucking guillotined his ass after he punched him in the face.
He knocked down Congo.
And Congo was stupid in that fight.
But yeah, Miguel Torres coming back.
From what?
That's awesome. From other losses.
Yeah, I was about to say, like.
Did you see this? Did you see this poster, Derek?
So bad. It's actually an atrocious poster too.
Am I being sent as?
You got to look at the guy.
You're goddamn right. I did, Mookie. Fucking Barnett is 0-3 against Crow Cop. So beating Crow Cop does mean you can beat Barnett. Mir just fucking shat the bed.
Check
Quick
out the guy.
stoppage, too.
Check out the guy in the bottom row, second from the right. That's my guy.
What do you mean? What is that? Is that the dick you held?
That is a dick he held.
Look at the eyes on that guy. Staring right at Mike when he did it.
Oh, I'm never gonna live that down, am I?
Never.
The return of Miguel Torres. Where is he coming from? Where'd he go?
All 9 of these guys in the same night.
I hope he fights the guy that looks like Handsome Pat first.
Okay, so he's
That's the Untethered Podcast, everybody. Goodbye.
You're as cold as ice.
There's something from Fox 10 that we didn't talk about that I don't know how we didn't bring it up. The whole Ariel Helwani story.
Can't talk about it. I can't talk about it.
Aww. Well, at least he didn't get fired from your job.
I know all the details and I can't talk about it.
Well, that's because he still works somewhere, so good for him.
Yep,
hey, I know what it's like to get fired. You know.
No, you don't.
Sure I do. It's happened before.
It's happened like 5 or 6 times.
It wasn't because I blatantly violated my contract like Ariel did, but, you know, it happens.
Mike, I honestly can't talk about it on the air. I'll talk about it offline with you.
Well, I've heard stories from different people, and yeah.
And then you can relay those stories. I'll tell you what happened offline.
Yeah, I will.
All right, Matt, just read the chat because you'll get a kick out of that. Nobody can read that.
I do want to ask Matt if you can or cannot confirm. Did Ariel lose his position at Fox? Is that a thing, or is that just
it? I can't talk about it.
I can neither confirm nor deny publicly available reports that you can Google and find in 10 seconds. I can't talk about it.
Then Google those reports. Man.
You're a smart man, Matt Roth. Let no one say otherwise. But yeah, what I heard and that's I believe it had something to do with Smellitor, so good priorities there, Ariel. I'm sure
that's not what I heard.
Well, what did you hear?
I've heard 2 different versions of the story, and
I'm muting myself, by the way, just because.
That's good. I heard 2 different versions of the story regarding 2 different potential interview subjects, but basically, Ariel was going to do an interview with somebody for MMA fighting. For whatever reason, they didn't give him the credentials to do it. And then he put it under the Fox banner, but actually reported it for fighting.
What? That's dumb.
I heard he misrepresented who he was.
No, I heard it was because he was a piece of shit, and that's what story I choose to believe. You can't change my mind.
So
it's not like freedom. Sorry.
That is the best, worst Vince McMahon I've ever heard.
That's a solid Vince McMahon, right? Like, I just need the gorilla walk like this.
It was me, Austin.
It was me all along.
It was me the whole time.
Kiss my ass, Austin.
Screw you. You're fired.
You're fired.
The first one was the best one. Stone cold.
So, Derek, what are the publicly available reports you've heard?
The publicly available reports that I heard is that he was interviewing the shit out of Bellator fighters, and they were getting butthurt about that.
Well, I guess we'll find out when Matt can talk about it off the air.
Yeah,
What I'll say is this: if you are in our hangout and you could see the chat log, nothing that McKinley Noble is saying is true except for part of it.
Well, what should I expect? There's always a little truth sprinkled into what they say. What else we got on McKinley's rundown, though? Because we have been neglecting the shit out of that. It's way up here.
Who cares about McKinley Noble?
We have a great transition. CM Punk apparently left WWE. Guys, what I've heard, reports I've heard from Henry Gracie, is that CM Punk did potential in MMA.
He does have potential in MMA.
Unlimited potential.
I wouldn't say unlimited. I'd say it's a very limited potential.
I'll tell you what, you fucking idiots. This is almost as sad as that time that Vince McMahon died in that tragic limousine explosion.
No,
Rest in peace.
Apparently this is not a work at all.
Over under 2 months until CM Punk is back in the ring.
You mean WrestleMania?
No, I think that it'll go past that because I don't think they have enough going on in WrestleMania. They obviously want to push Batista for some god awful fucking reason.
This is the big thing, and kind of like they haven't really told their talent what's going on with the WWE Network yet, and so a lot of it, like when you have guys that make a lot of money on pay-per-view. They haven't been told if they're going to be getting a cut of the WWE Network, which is going to be airing all the pay-per-views.
Oh, no way they will. They just need to get a higher base salary.
No, they haven't reworked contracts to include WWE Network, and so a lot of these guys that probably aren't happy, they're not speaking up because. They don't want to be cut by the WWE. You know, like a guy like Cody Rhodes or the Usos or like Ryback. They have like not a lot of like a negotiating standpoint. A guy like CM Punk, he's saved his money and he's one of those guys that can go into Vince McMahon's office and just be like, no, like fuck you, I want my money, or hey, fuck you, I'm gonna quit. And that's what he did. As far as what CM Punk goes, it's probably a lot of it is just the pay-per-view money, and the other part is probably just not having anything for him as far as creative goes. You know, like he's not going to be in any sort of a title picture, and working with Triple H at WrestleMania when he was shooting for being the headliner really didn't help him out or really appease him. A lot of it's is real. This isn't a work at all. It may turn into a work, but at this moment, it's a shoot.
That's what I mean. I think eventually, when they come back, it'll be an angle around him coming back. But I think that eventually he'll realize he can make more money there than anywhere else, and he's still young enough and in shape enough to, after a break of maybe 3 or 6 months, to come back and be fresh and be healthy. Maybe by that time they need him more. Have either of you listened to the Cheap Heat podcast on the Grantland Network?
Nope.
I did listen to it.
I think there was one part of what David Shoemaker said that was brilliant, in that the difference between John Cena and CM Punk is that John Cena is a wrestler and he's a professional and he loves doing it, but CM Punk is a mark for himself. And that leads to some issues when it comes to reliability, when it comes to contract negotiations, and when it comes to how much his employers like him.
So John Cena is one of those guys that, like, he's not great from a technical standpoint, but he's able to have a good match with everybody. And CM Punk, he probably is a mark for himself. But you know who else was a mark for himself? Bret Hart. Hulk Hogan.
How'd that work out for Bret Hart, ultimately?
How?
He fucking got cut in disgrace, had his shit run in WCW, and ended up kissing the man's ass 10 years later for a paycheck. Did not work out well for Bret, turning down fucking putting over Shawn Michaels.
No, but it did work out because he had that guaranteed contract with Turner.
That Vince McMahon told him to go get. He said, go get, you're paid by Turner. Like, I don't know if we're going to be able to pay you, so go get paid by Turner, but you're going to drop the belt to Michaels. And he said no.
Well, how did that turn out badly for him, though?
Well, because then he got cut from WWE. He went to WCW. He did his contract for, I think, 2 years.
Yeah, well,
it was terrible.
No, Derek, that's not what happened. He ended up getting Goldberg ended up kicking him in the head for real, and he ended up getting severely concussed, and maybe McKinley will be able to verify this, but he had he had a stroke from it, or
Yeah.
like he was super concussed, and he ended up having a stroke at like 33 years old, 34 years old, whatever, however old he was. He was pretty young. And that's what ended his career, was getting kicked in the face by Goldberg, for real.
Well, WCW misused him up until that point, too. They did not bring him in and give him the push that he...
No, that's not true either.
WCW misused everybody. Shut up. You're WCW, Mark.
No, I'm not.
I'm not. People in the world.
I'm not a WCW Mark.
And you're saying they used Bret Hart correctly, that they squeezed that lemon and they maximized the value.
No. Everything worked against Bret Hart. You know, like... He was supposed to become like the new leader of the NWO, and then he was supposed to have this extended feud with Goldberg. And Goldberg decided that instead of using a baseball bat to knock out a window in a limousine, he was going to punch it out himself. So he broke his hand. And so,
Mike Fagan in the chat. Brett was 45 when he had the stroke.
Okay, but getting kicked in the face, he wasn't 45.
Well, that happened like a year or two prior. He was 40.
So how old was he when he left the WWF for WCW? Early 40s?
He can't be.
He was in the WWF for a long time before that.
He's 57 now.
So
he was in the WWF from the mid 80s.
Yeah. So
whoa.
So in the mid 90s, he was in his early 40s.
No,
that's crazy.
No.
That's crazy to me.
He would have been
late 30s or like 40. Because it was like 95, 96 when he jumped, wasn't it?
That's crazy to me, but that's also pro wrestling for you. Like,
was it 97 when he jumped to WCW, the Monday Night Wars?
Yeah.
Okay, so 97, he was like 40.
That's crazy to me. I forgot.
The point is, motherfucker.
Yeah, the point is he didn't get cut from WCW, Derek, and that's not why his career went to shit.
Obviously, he was somewhat old and busted when he got over there. Like,
No.
he couldn't take a shot anymore.
45 is still...
His chin was gone, Derek?
Yeah, he
wouldn't say
taking
young
too many
for pro
shots.
wrestling.
It was, he's like Wanderlei Silva, or Wanderlei Silva. See, you got me saying Wanderlei now. Fuck that. You got me sounding smart. I don't like it.
Oh, fucking Derek.
What else you got? We got a few more minutes. Come on.
We got 4 minutes.
Finish strong.
Super Bowl's on Sunday.
Yes, it is.
We got Derek and his fucking Broncos.
Well, and I've always said that if we don't win a Super Bowl, then signing Manning was a bad idea, because when you pay someone $19 million a year, but according to Forbes, he's already made enough money to pay for himself for 3 years in his first 2. So he has been a net gain financially and on the field thus far.
Derek,
how do you think professional sports teams work?
Derek,
I didn't know they made $20 million for every playoff game they played, because that's essentially what the Broncos have done in Peyton Manning, because the $60 million bump in revenue was from that divisional playoff game we had at home and the 2 playoff games this year at home. I didn't know teams make $20 million a home game in the playoffs.
Derek, I had a question. Could you guys have made the Super Bowl with Tim Tebow?
No.
Oh, really? You couldn't?
No, Peyton Manning.
Whoa!
I never said Peyton Manning was a better quarterback, not as good as Tim Tebow. I was terrified of his injury history when we signed him. That's all been great, barring the neck exam ad 2 weeks from now. He will come back for another year. This isn't his swan song. He's not going to ride off into the sunset after this game either way.
Unless his head falls off.
Well, there's always that concern, but he's
hope.
He's 35 out of 35 starting games since we signed him, so I don't have a bad word to say about his health and how he prepares and everything. He's 37 now; he'll be 38 next year. I feel better and better about our chances as the week goes on. Seattle has a terrifying defense, but they run a lot of pretty simple sets, cover 3, and they can just kind of rotate between them. And as Belichick has been saying in the interviews, if you do that, if you bring your plays and just say, make a play against us, and Peyton Manning probably will go ahead and do that. We had 5 guys that scored 10 touchdowns this year. No other team has ever had 4. And I think at least one of our weapons will get through a couple times, and I don't think Seattle's can score with us because we're going to knock Percy Harvin's head off his fucking body the first chance we get.
Mookie, the rebuttal.
We're going to spike him in the hip.
Mookie Alexander, come on, speak.
Our special teams does suck, and that does scare me, but I like our punter and our kicker. Everything else is not great. But hopefully the weather is so bad that punts are short and returns are likewise.
Now, here's the thing about the Super Bowl.
The Cowboys
The
aren't
Puppy
in
Bowl.
it?
No, the Puppy Bowl is before it.
Oh, I thought Puppy Bowl was halftime.
No, Puppy Bowl is all day.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's fucking marathon style. What am I thinking?
Derek, do you watch the Puppy Bowl, or you don't care about it?
That I turn to it when I can. I don't know who won last year or anything. Did you
The
bet on the Puppy Bowl this year?
No, I don't know if you can bet on the Puppy Bowl, but I know that they're doing fantasy.
Please, Mike, look up the lines on the Puppy Bowl.
No.
Oh, fantasy, I'll take the Husky. If there's a Husky, I'm taking Husky all day, #1 overall.
Man, no, you gotta go with one of the retrievers.
You're out of your goddamn mind. Husky's got the cardio. He's going to give you those points in the fourth quarter. He's never going to quit.
Yeah, but he's a slow starter.
He's kind of a prima donna. I'll give you that. But he likes to strut. But he's got the game to back it up. Nobody's going to catch him in the open field.
Slow starter, man. That's the big problem.
Strong finisher. Give me the fourth quarter. You can have the first.
I'll take the first three, man. You can have the fourth.
Shut up.
With your slow starting bullshit.
Yes, all right, cool. We'll talk odds off air here because we don't want to get caught gambling. That's still illegal as I light up my marijuana. Good priorities, Colorado. I can't play poker online, but I can smoke weed.
And the funny thing is, in Jersey, I can play poker online. I can't smoke weed.
We should merge Colorado and Jersey and make the best state in the country. You can have our mountains, and we can have your food and your online poker.
Wait, our food? Are you saying New Jersey has good food?
Yeah,
New Jersey, #1!
I love
It's better than that pod!
the only real thing I want from Chicago, too, is the pizza. We're going to close it with a hearty fuck King Mo, because we're remembering to do it this time.
Derek, I hate you.
No, fuck King Mo.
I hate you. I hate you.
You're not going to stay
I
fuck
hate
King Mo.
you. I hate
More
you.
than King Mo.
I hate you.
That's
I
impressive.
hate you. I 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 hate you. Hate you. Ah! I hate you.
We want popsicles, clap, 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 clap.
We want ice cream.